Hey everyone, wanted to talk a little bit about my Lord Discordant on Helstaker model that's part of my Harbinger's Warband. I've been getting some questions about inspiration builds and such, so I figured I'd go into a little bit of a deep dive for this model specifically. So what is it? Well, this is supposed to be a Lord Discordant on Helstaker. Now obviously this is a completely scratch built model. This is not the original GW model. And again, like I've mentioned previously, I really wanted to kind of lean into a mecha, Horizon Zero Dawn inspired army for the mechs that were part of my Harbinger's Warband. So the real impetus though was that I wanted to try my hand at scratch building. I wanted to go outside the box, do something a little bit different for this army, and was really kind of inspired by a couple folks. So as you can see, obviously this is a large Horizon Zero Dawn kind of inspired build. This has an animalistic type mech, some fairly futuristic but also dirty kind of looking aspects to it. So definitely that was a big inspiration. The other person that was a huge inspiration for this was Oni Dao on Instagram. I'll put a link or an image. They had a Maulerfiend build that I fairly closely looked at when I was building out this stance. It was a huge inspiration for this in its general stance and its aggressiveness. So huge shout out to Oni Dao for the initial inspiration for this. That is an awesome model that they created. It was again just a big kind of light bulb went off in my head that I could actually try to replicate that and to build something out, but also try to make it my own. And then, like I've mentioned before, I do have a couple folks within the 40K community in Toronto, the Warhammer, the Hogtown 40K community. Again, just inspired me to go outside the box, build something that I wanted to rather than just the out of the box kits. So yeah, a couple folks inspiring there. But I mean, the build itself, you'll notice that you'll probably notice a couple key parts. So the legs themselves are all armature legs. Love those armature legs, like I mentioned, for all of these mech type builds. They're just great. They're perfect size for those mechs, and you can chop them up and actually make them pretty well articulated if you need to make different stances. You'll notice that the armature body is the main part, and there's a number of kind of Forge Fiend or Maulerfiend parts as well. So obviously you've got the head, the claws, and the tail itself are all from those kits. Just like my Defiler, I do have a couple Storm Talon parts. So I think the heads up or the console is a Storm Talon part. I think the little kind of armor at the back is, and then obviously those are Tau fuel cells that are kind of attached to the back. I've mentioned that before. Tau accents on this kind of futuristic type model are just I love that aspect of it. There is a lot more green stuff work on this one. Lots of cabling, obviously, to attach it and give it a little bit more connectivity. Green stuff, some seats, since this is obviously needs to have a rider. It needs somewhere for that rider to sit. But another aspect of it is that to make this body, I needed to put a lot of green stuff work in around where that body and that cabling kind of comes in. So not the smoothest when you look at it directly like that, but I think it works out fine. Again, was fairly inspired by what Oni Dao did for theirs, and I think it turns out pretty well to give it that long and lean body look. I do believe there is some wire armature in there as well to give it that structure, but yeah. So from a bits point of view, I think that's majorly it. I will talk a little bit more about my Bubble Dome Marines in a separate video, but this is one of my original Bubble Dome Marines. Obviously made a little bit more specific to this one with the mechatendrils, mechatendrils and the larger spear, or what is it, a halberd, I think that the Lord Discordant gets. In terms of paint, like I mentioned before, fairly simple paint style in terms of variation of grays on the top. Vallejo metal color silver for most of the silver parts, with bronze, Vallejo metal color bronze, I believe, for the bronze parts, and then oil washes and enamel washes, mainly for the grunginess. Like I mentioned previously, for this army, I tried to do a lot more little kind of writing. I wanted to practice my writing, so you can see that on the top there, and the hand-painted scratching and streaks and whatnot, kind of on the top. And then, similar, love to base, so bark and crackle paint pigments, lots of flock, the usual. One kind of funny thing for this original version of this model had this unit, or this marine, actually removable. I was maybe in a headspace where I wanted to reuse those bubble dome marines. I didn't want to build a million of them, so I wanted to reuse them fairly easily. So I actually magnetized a base on there and magnetized that marine so it could be taken off. It did not look as good. I believe I got that feedback from Mr. Fisk, one of our folks in our Hogtown 40K community. Gave me some good critical feedback to say, hey, don't like it. So ended up actually taking that model off, committing, saying this is part of this model, and 100% agree. It looks much better with just the model directly on the base itself. So yeah, I think that's generally it for this model. If you have any questions or comments around it, I'd love to see them in the comments below. Happy to answer what I can. You can also find me on Instagram at graph.cardo. Send me a message. Happy to answer anything you need. And if you want a little bit more information about the warband itself, check out my website, grab.ca. I'll do a little write-up on the Harbinger's warband as a whole, a little bit of its lore and inspiration of the army as a whole. Thanks for watching, folks. Like I said, happy to answer any questions, and we'll chat with you soon.